morning, sirs. My name is Sudhir. I am representing Educational Initiatives. I thank you guys for giving me the time to talk to you about our vision for the future. As you all know, you've been working with us for our products Asset, and you've been an Asset customer for quite some time, and you understand our philosophy. And I am here today to tell you about what's new, what's in the horizon for EI, and what we see as the vision for the future. And we'll be very happy if you can partner with us to make that vision a reality. So before I go ahead, I just want to show you something that I will use as a context for my talk with you. And it's a presentation on something which is quite exciting. It is the driverless car of the future.
Imagine this technology would help me a lot during traffic jams, where hassle to drive, the traffic always stopping and stopping and stopping.
幸福很幸福不同的产品对于我们顾客帮助很大，所以很期待这个科技快点面世。
I was a little bit nervous at the beginning, but I got comfortable with the ride. It seemed like someone was driving a car. I think people who don't know how to drive would definitely benefit from this technology. I can't wait to see it in the market.
So, any thoughts on this video? I mean, what are your first reactions about this technology? What do you think?
So I think there has been a lot of talk around Google coming out with the driverless car, and we kept thinking that it's going to be in the future. But I think what Singapore is doing is already here, so it's not in the future anymore.
Right.
And I think so this technology is going to expand more in different areas also now.
But what were the feelings that people expressed before they sat in the driverless car and after they sat in it? What was the change in perception?
So so first of all, when people look at it, they were very curious. They were scared also at times, saying that how will the car be able to manage the traffic signal and traffic and other vehicles around.
Yeah.
And after that, the way things, the way the car, moved, I think it was very. They could not imagine that how technology can really make a change.
Right. And if I were to say that there is a potential similarity between what we saw in terms of the driverless car and what's happening in education, do you think there could be some similarity? Do you think there's
what was shown here is the next level of technology coming in without a driver. Similarly, there are a lot of research ideas that are keep coming up in education. Also, this is seamless technology coming in.
Right.
So that is something that.
So that is, I think, a good base for what I wanted to share with all of you, is that we find today the major concern for a lot of schools like yours who want to push the boundaries of education is how do you expand the time for a teacher to do what she really wants to do in the classroom. Today's teachers are struggling to complete the curriculum, and there is a breadth of the curriculum that she wants to cover, and there is a depth in which she wants to go deeper in the curriculum. So if she tries for breadth, the depth gets compromised. If she tries for depth, the breadth gets compromised. So do you agree with that? In the sense, is that what you would say as a failure?
Yeah, and I think there are attempts by teachers to go in depth, but yeah, I don't think it's prevalent. There are great teachers in our school also who try to do that, but yes, we would love more teachers to be able to probably achieve that depth.
Correct. And one of the big concerns we have found that complicates this issue even further is the fact that different children are at different levels in the classroom. So you have one aspect of the breadth of the curriculum and the depth of the curriculum, but once you add this dimension of different children being at different levels, that makes the problem almost a very, very complex problem for us to solve.
Correct.
So we have piloted Mindspark, or Mindspark is our own math learning program. We designed that almost 7-8 years ago. And we introduced it in schools as a support system to the teacher to provide personalized attention to every child while the teacher progressed in her topic. So it was like a Nobel laureate is teaching in university, and then there are smaller group mentors who sit with the children or students and explain what the Nobel laureate taught. That's the concept in the foreign universities that we see. So similarly, we said that let the teacher give instruction to the whole class, and Mindspark works on an individualized basis with each child. So what we have seen now is we are now ready to take the next plunge. We consider Mindspark to be a good GPS device right now, telling the teacher where to go, how to go, give her a lot of inputs, a lot of reports. But now we are ready to be the driverless car of education. And that's why I showed that video to you. So the analogy is not just about the swankiness or the wow factor. It is on the philosophy that a driverless car uses to be driverless. It uses a lot of data, it uses a lot of algorithms, and it uses a lot of what the car should not do, that it should not go here because there is a embankment here, it should not go here because there is a person here, it should not go here. So by eliminating a lot of places where the car should not go, it goes in one place. That's the same philosophy that we have been using, which we call misconception research as an organization. So we have analyzed pathways for children where children should not go, or if they go there, they will get stuck. And by eliminating where children should not go, and if we create a path for the child, it can become a driverless path. The question you would have is, are we now replacing the teacher? The answer is no, we are not replacing the teacher. We are intending to break the curriculum into 3 parts. So one part is that will be done only by the teacher. Second part will be done with Mindspark and the teacher. And third part will be done only by Mindspark. And the time that we save from the part that is only handed over to Mindspark is given to the teacher to do more advanced stuff, more in-depth stuff, more curricular stretch stuff, application stuff, projects, taking them on field visits, bringing maths into the classroom, doing Lego, doing programming, doing stuff which today she says I don't have the time. So in say a grade 5 class, we have 10 to 12 topics that the teacher has to cover in 220 days, 230 days. Based on our research, we will tell the teacher that these 3 topics, please hand over to Mindspark and let kids do it without the teacher introducing it or monitoring it, or monitoring, yes, but there is no class time that is spent on these 3 topics. And that time that the teacher saves from that, she then uses to allocate it on the things that she can do. Now what it will do is that one, it gives the teacher more time. 2, you will realize that you will need to now invest in teacher professional development more, because till now they were doing 60% mechanical or algorithmic or repetitive stuff. And they're very comfortable doing that. Now if I tell them this is going to be done by somebody else, it's like what an ATM did to a teller. In every bank there used to be a teller who used to count the notes and give you. Now the ATM did that. So if you had 6 tellers, now you have only 1 teller. And that teller had to be upgraded to a customer relationship executive or a person who could deal with loans or who could interact with customers. So a lot of tasks which could not have been automated earlier were automated and people had to be upgraded. Similarly, we believe that a lot of teacher tasks which are done today can get handed to an intelligent learning system. And the teacher can do things which the system cannot do, which is interact with each child at a human basis, work in teams, collaborative learning, projects, group work, application-oriented learning. This is what we need a great teacher for. Not to teach the addition of fractions or the algorithm of coming to LCM. That mechanical algorithmic stuff, MindSpark can do. So we are looking for partners who will work with us and who will want to see this future today. Like they said in Singapore today and in your city tomorrow. I want a school who will say in my school today and in the rest of the country tomorrow. And I am sitting here because I know you have always been the path breakers and you are forging the new path in education. And I am happy that I want you to partner with us to take this vision into the classrooms. And can we make our teachers great teachers? Can we give them the runway to expand the horizons for our children? And if we can do that, I think then there is no possibility that we cannot do and we can achieve much, much more than what is happening today in our classroom. So that's the basic idea for our meeting, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So what percentage time do you think a teacher will save if it is driverless in a sense?
So I think we are now currently working on getting into the nitty-gritties of this. We are actually taking, say, class 5 or class 6 curriculum, and we are now looking at which are the topics that can be driverless and which are the topics can be code-driven, which topics can be. So it's currently, we are going into the detail, but my rough estimate is, I think between 20 to 30% is what we are aiming at. If we can, out of 6 periods per week, which the teacher needs to complete the curriculum, if we can do that 6 periods, the 2-period work if we can release, I think then it would work.
So you also mentioned that because of this whole time availability that MindSpark will offer to a teacher, the teacher can go deeper into what. But then what do you think is going to be like, what will they do? Because like what you also said, and we also know that they are very comfortable with what they are doing, but then when she has more time, what do you think she will be doing?
So we hopefully will partner with some people, or we will design kits or projects that teachers can access or use to expand the learning capability of the children. So our ideal goal is in the next 3 years we should have a curriculum package for you, which would have some topics which will be done by MindSpark and a regular large chunk of topics which are done with MindSpark, and a set of activities, projects and kits that the teacher can use in something like a maths lab or in their own classroom, or a guided inquiry process that they can follow to achieve a certain understanding level. Because you're an IGCSE school, I know that you will be aiming for a lot of self-directed learning as the children grow up. Our goal is that can we make that happen? Can we go there in a planned manner rather than leave it to the capability of the teacher to do it within the existing boundaries? So I'm actually stretching the boundaries for the teacher, expanding her time horizon and supporting her also. I'm just not saying, okay, you have more time to do whatever you want. That will not work.
Yeah.
But if we can support the teacher in making that time run more, make her run more in that time and do more, I think that will be a very powerful position to be in.
So will you guys also be considering to train this teacher somehow for whatever materials or whatever you might build?
So we are planning to have a group of facilitators who we will have. We have SkillFest as an initiative that we are planning to run, where teacher training is a strong component in SkillFest. Through SkillFest, we are hoping to have a family or a group of trainers who will be part of that group. Using them, we maybe get integrate that. But it's still, I think what I am sharing with you now is on the drawing board.
Yeah.
It's more like a dream, it's more like a vision that I have. A lot of parts are still great, but it's that we're looking for those people who can look into the future and say, I also see what you're seeing, and I also think it is worth a shot, and I want to partner with you. So that's the thing it is. Yes, I do understand that a lot of your questions will be on specifics, but my role today is more to be a crystal ball gazer and look into the crystal ball and say, this is what I see, but I think getting it down into the classroom will be the challenge, but I'm sure we will be able to address that.
So we follow one specific curriculum and we have a certain number of topics that teachers teach, and you nicely explain that, okay, the breadth of the topic and the depth of the topic, and sometimes some topics can be given to the children to work on their own. So how does Mindspark get aligned to the curriculum that my teachers are teaching in the classroom?
So we've got, even in the current Mindspark, we have different streams. We have a CBSE stream, an ICSE stream, an IGCSE stream. And every stream we have the topics that are there for the teacher to teach. Today what used to happen is the teacher starts a topic in class, teaches it, and activates that topic in Mindspark, and the children do Mindspark either in school or at home, or both. But the teacher continues to own the completion of the topic target. So she is still held responsible that you are owning this completion. We are saying now the GPS device is ready to become driverless. So for some topics which are maybe spiraled from the last year or which are more algorithmic in nature, we can say, okay, now this topic responsibility is given to Mindspark. So once I free up that responsibility, I think the teacher will feel a bit more inclined to look at the other thing. But if you don't free her of that responsibility, and if you say you will be held responsible for this also, then she will still want to teach, she'll still want to assess, she'll still want to do a lot of things, which may not free the bandwidth. That's what we're seeing right now.
Correct. So that's wonderful. And when you said there are a few areas where we leave it Mindspark to handle with the students, what kind of feedback teachers take on that?
So even now, there is a very granular feedback the teachers get on the progress of the child, the concepts that the child have cleared, how much time they've taken, which are the misconceptions that the child have encountered. But we are planning also to introduce some assessment modules which will overlay themselves on those topics. So in addition to Mindspark, we are thinking of introducing an assessment layer which will give feedback to the teacher and to all of you, almost as if you have given this to a human teacher.
Correct.
So if you imagine your class 5 maths curriculum is split between 3 teachers. First there was only one teacher, now there are 3 human teachers. Teacher A is teaching 3 topics, teacher B is teaching 3 topics, teacher C is teaching 3 topics. Now the teacher A who is teaching 3 topics, you want to check whether she is doing her job. So you want to do an assessment. So we are thinking of overlaying an assessment layer to give you feedback on whether kids have understood those 3 topics as if a human taught her. And if we can show you that Mindspark teaching is at least at par on a human teaching, then we are in the driverless car.
So what do you think has changed in Mindspark now when you guys are now confident that it can now
That's
be
a
a
very good
driverless?
question. I think what we are, the earlier version of Mindspark, or the current version of Mindspark was what we call rule-based, where we had defined a certain set of rules that if the data from the child came in this manner, the system has to respond based on the rule to execute the rule and give the next step to the child. But given the volume of data that we have now got, we are now aiming for something which is called machine learning, where it is not rule-based, but the data decides on what the path should be. The path is based on a huge stream of data rather than on the rule. So if the huge stream of data starts indicating that children are flexible along a certain concept, then the system will go faster. It is not based on the rule that after 3 questions, right, then give this 4th question like this. That requires the system to be more complex and more use heavy data or large data centric. That is what a lot of technologies are aiming for. And we believe that we are poised as one organization that can use machine learning to drive the frontiers of learning. And we want to be there when it happens, or actually take the education system there. That is the level of confidence we have. But it's what I'm saying so easily is not going to happen easily. It's going to be a big investment that we will have to make at our end, and we'll have to put in a lot of research. The raw material is there. We have students, we have the data, we have the misconceptions. But it has to be converted into a system that drives without a driver.
I have a question. You said Mindspark has been operation for almost the last 7 years. What are the challenges you have been facing with the teacher and with the schools? As you see, X is the challenge and what is the solution? Do you have maybe the sort of challenges that you see?
So one of the biggest challenges we find in Mindspark is fitting it into the curriculum with respect to the 6 periods per week. So today when we go to a school, we ask the school to give us 2 sessions where Mindspark will be done. And please set up a lab for it and do it in school during school hours and also give some time to the children at home. What we are now looking at a scenario is there is a lot more technology-driven learning that's happening in a lot of schools, and schools are sending a lot of projects home. So kids are doing school work at home. I'm not saying homework, but a lot of teachers are making them do projects, making them do a lot of material, research material online. So that change has happened in the past 3-4 years, and schools like yours are leading that change. You are at the forefront where your teachers are already engaging children to do research work outside the classroom using a lot of internet-based material. We are just taking that one step further. We are saying that 20 minutes of a child's at-home time should be Mindspark time every day. And what the child does in that 20 minutes is very, very closely guided by Mindspark, overseen by the teacher. Almost like the teacher is a senior teacher, and there's a junior teacher of Mindspark who is taking care of these topics. If we do that, and the challenge is internet access, unsupervised internet access for children, these are some realities which we will have to address, but if we can address that, what it gives me is it gives me 2 more periods per additional out of the 6 periods that I currently have. Instead of taking 2 periods away from you, I want to add 2 periods to you. So we get a total of 8 periods a week. And that is the magic if we can achieve that. And plus neuroscience research has also shown that if a child does Mindspark, then a lot of neural circuits get strengthened, and that too is already there. I'm not bringing that into the equation. But that will solve the infrastructure problem, that will solve the time problem, and that will solve a lot of concern of parents that, how is my child doing something additional in this school vis-a-vis other schools? So if you can position to your parents that in this school we are aiming for what no other school is trying to do ever. Every school is constrained by curriculum and time. We are stretching the time. We are giving our children more, we are giving our teachers more. If that is the positioning you can take, I think that will be a very powerful positioning for you as a school. But it has to be a bold position. It's not a positioning of somebody who's not bold, and that's why I'm talking to you. Because there will be few people who will lead this time, who will lead this change, who see the benefits far outweighing the problems. So the problems are there. I'm not saying the problems are not there. There will be opposition from teachers, there will be opposition from parents, there will be technology issues, internet issues. But I think for the driverless car to be reality, some cars had to crash, or there had to be some errors and some design, some improvements had to happen. Only then we are seeing what we are seeing today. So it's more like a 3-year partnership that I foresee between the school and us, where our research team works very closely with yours, and we build something that will really be powerful. That's the whole idea, and that's the whole thought process behind this approach.
So, one last question. So, you nicely said that now you know that about the parents connect and all. So, parents today are very techno-savvy, and let's say they are very excited because they see that the students are learning something online or e-learning, right? What is something that they can see about the students' progress? Because today what happens, parents go during the PTM and teacher talks to them and give them a progress. If this is happening where Mindspark is done by a child at home as well as in school, so how do parents get an update on?
Even now we have invested a lot of our interface space for giving parents a picture of what the child does and how the child is progressing, what topics are completed by the child. There is a leaderboard where the parent can see the classes children, who is more accurate, who is more steady, who is more focused, right? So different children have got different strengths. So what Mindspark does, it highlights the strength of each child vis-a-vis other children in the classroom. And it gives the parent the kind of bird's eye view picture of how the child is doing vis-a-vis those topics and what percentages got completed. So that is, in my opinion, just scratching the surface. We want to go deeper, we want to be able to provide a much better feel for the parent as to what's happening. Because there will be apprehension that, without the teacher, how will this learning happen?
Exactly.
So I understand that apprehension, and I think it is a justified apprehension. We will have to address it together as a team. And it will mean to make the reports more intuitive, more simple, more easy to understand, not very complicated. So we will have to reach that level where even a parent who is not very techno-savvy should be able to see the report and should say, yes, I understand this. I think that's the goal we have to reach, and that's the challenge we have. Because today it is a bit data heavy. There's a lot of data that is there in our interface. We'll have to move towards it being more intuitive and more visual, graphical. The GUI interface will have to be better. So I think all of these are fallouts of this path. Nobody has gone on this path before, so I think it's on faith that we will be treading this path, but we are pretty confident that there will be something waiting for us at the end of the way.
So I understand the technology part, the research part, the data part, everything. And as you just mentioned that this is just an experiment phase, and you might have a lot of cars crashing in and so on. My view on this was, and I wanted to ask you this question is, we partner with you for research, for example, data that you gathered over a period of time. Now that you gathered new experience and other things. But what is it for us in terms of price is concerned? Because we are investing in your research and something that, of course, is a win-win as a long term. But when it comes to pricing, is something that we all depend on, and that's where I wanted. So, if we are your early partners or something like that, do we get any kind of advantage or an edge on this?
Definitely. So I think when 3D printing first came on the scene, people used to print small objects, big small objects. What we are imagining to 3D print is a city. Okay. If you ask me what's the real estate cost of that city, what's the land cost going to be, I am not in a position to answer that right now. Because the landscape is going to be very different. What I can assure you is people who will be our partners in the first phase, they will always get preferential pricing over other people. Mindspark's value is going to go exponentially when we see this working out. And what other people who will adopt it later will get the price. The early adopters like you will always get a lower price than that. So there will be a margin that will be available to you to charge, which will be the investment you are doing in this project. For example, today the cost of Mindspark is 2,400 rupees per child per year. We think Mindspark will provide value equivalent to 5,000 rupees per child per year. And if you continue to get Mindspark at 2,400 rupees per child, in the next 3 to 5 years you will be able to charge 5,000 rupees. And you will be able to keep that amount of money from the child as a contribution to your time, energy, and investment in this project. Does that answer your question?
It's cool, no?
It's cool. Okay. What is the...
I believe that if we are the founding partners of doing something and gathering data and implementing touch points at the grassroots level, I believe we should get some additional advantage in terms of pricing is concerned.
So you will get the price. I mean, I'm telling you, you will get Mindspark at half the price that anybody else will get, eventually.
And I also wanted to ask you this because in the, so this is like a personal experience, so I'm asking.
Yes.
So over a period of time, a lot of various research have shown that there is an impact on the student to some level of approximately 15 to 20% in terms of neuroscience, XYZ. In terms of impact is concerned post MindSpark, again what my understanding at the grassroots level has been that over a period of time, and this is what child psychology is all about, a student gets bogged by doing same thing again and again and again and again and so on. So how do we inculcate MindSpark in an actionable way and at regular intervals with, I mean, a grade 5 student did MindSpark, he has the same interface, he has few games, he has other things, but in grade 6 he might not want to do it because he has achieved a level, or he is quite not keen on
So
looking
yeah, I
at
understand what you're saying. You're basically saying that there is a certain level of monotony, and there is a certain level of boredom that a child experiences when he does the same interface. Now, my answer to that is that if we compare what a child does in a textbook, or what's the alternative for the child to do, MindSpark will definitely be better than that because one, it is personalized, and two, it is adapting to that child's level. So compared to what is available today, there is definitely a better offering. What you are asking me or asking from us is, can we make it better? The answer is yes, we do want to make it better. But my promise I have to give you is, I want to teach the child, not give fun to the child. My goal is the child should learn, vis-a-vis have fun or enjoy it. Enjoyment, if it happens, that's a desirable, but it's not a given. It's not something that I think it has to happen. Because in today's maths classes, if given a choice, children may not want to go to the maths class. But they have to go, because maths is a critical subject. They have to learn it. They have to be conversant with basic level of maths. So we don't make it optional. Similarly, English language, we don't make it optional because we have to communicate. So there is some part of MindSpark will have to be said, this is a non-negotiable, you have to do it. You can't make it optional. It's like these three topics have to be taught. It's just getting delivered through MindSpark, but it has to be done. There will be a test on it. It will be part of the grading system. It will be part of your report. If you fail, you will be held back. So everything that is applicable to school education will be applicable to MindSpark education. We have to reach there. The child should not say, I don't want to do this. It's like saying, I don't want to go to school. It has to be that. If we agree that we can make it that tight or that mandatory, not as a compulsory offering, but as a time the child has to do is non-negotiable. It is almost like attendance is marked based on the MindSpark login. That is the level of involvement that I am seeking and the commitment that I am seeking